Welcome back to Scotomaville, also known as the state of unnecessary hoarding. Even the onions are disappearing. Normally, I'd say you could do this exercise with toilet paper, but see, there's a problem. Want to know why I'm wearing long sleeves in the store today? In the first section of Leaving Scotomaville, I'm bringing to you a bunch of pieces, tools for your toolbox. I'm putting together a bunch of pieces of insights that we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. And yes, those are earplugs in there. That's so that I can think. So I can talk to you without them getting in here. I'm aware that noise really bugs me. So I'm taking steps to do something about it. And if that distraction sidebar, moving on. Tools in your toolbox. So I want you to have a bunch of different tools so that in section 2, when we talk about the journey of our personal Everest, of getting up the summit of our awareness, when things start getting tough, when the air starts getting thin, when you start getting bombarded, overloaded, there's a burden on you, there's too little time, there's too much pressure, the costs and consequences are too big. When all of those things start happening, you need to be able to pull tools out, right? You need to have that thing ready. I want to give you a specific tool for awareness. I want to give you what I call peeling onions. It's a way of discovering what it is that's really bugging you. I don't mean when you get triggered and you immediately just go, "You make me so mad," or blah, 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 where you point to something outside of you. I'm talking about how do you get in here and pull this back, open up what's in there, and discover what's at the core. And to do that, I want you to look at an onion, because that's going to give you a really good visual for what you need to remember when it's time to play Sherlock Holmes. Peeling onions. I don't mean in the kitchen. I mean layers and layers of memories, like the Beverly Hillbillies pickup truck, that from our earliest ages, we start building our belief system and we start polluting our worldview. And then technology pours it on and confirms our own bias. How the heck do you get out of that? Well, this is one way. So, an onion, good catch. An onion, right? With a sticker on it. An onion. This one happens to be a common red onion. And I want you to have a look inside of this. Okay? I think you know what it looks like. Got lots of debris on the outside, that's for sure. Okay? So, have a look, right? And yeah, that would be a Harley Davidson in the background. Notice that there's a core in here, right? How do you get inside that brain of yours so that you can figure out not what's on this outer layer? Well, you got to start digging into it. In the eye. See, this is what most of us look like. Most of us run around in life all sort of ragged and chewed up, and our emotions are all right on the surface. When we get triggered, this is what's going on. this rage, this anger, and some people stuff it. You can't tell. It goes and finds an organ to attack. So when that happens, when something goes wrong in your mind, that you want to be able to discover what it is that is going on, time out. Give yourself a specific thing to do. I used to take the trash out. It was at our condo when I first started this, it was a good almost a quarter mile down the road. And I took that trash out 3 or 4 times a day. I really did. Okay, so when you do that, you're going to be able to get this stuff. Get rid of that. Okay? Now you get down to something like, all right, wait, I'm calmed down. Right? Your adrenaline comes down, your rage quiets, you're not masking it with a coping mechanism like alcohol or drugs or gaming or sex or food or athletics. Yeah, I know about that one. I used to ride 10Ks and cycle. I've done 3 Transamericas. I know all about endorphins and that whole buzz as a coping mechanism. They're usually our strengths, but that's another lesson. So the first thing you got to do is get rid of this outside crud. Get it kind of cleaned up so at least you're aware of, all right, I got triggered. What am I triggered about? It's not the issue. It's not the argument. What caused the emotional flare? It's a memory. It's something down in here that you need to get to, and you're not going to be able to find out what this is. This is something at the very core of your being. This is a memory from your childhood that was falsely planted there. That then, the rest of your life, you built stuff around. Layers and layers and layers of experiences. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you a simple example most of us have gone through. Remember Christmas. Especially the one we figured out that Santa Claus was our parents. I was the oldest, so eventually I got to wrap presents and help be the Santa. But it kept sort of bugging me. From early on, my parents didn't tell the truth. They're telling me to be honest. They're telling me to tell the truth, and yet they lie. And so we start off with this, wait a minute, maybe people close to me I can't trust. I don't know. They tell me not to lie. And okay, I'm a highly functional Asperger, so I literally did not get the wiring for that in my early years. So I was double whammied on that one. But we then go into grammar school and we find out our friends actually don't pick us for the team. Aha, fooled you. You get to go in and sit in the lunchroom. You don't get to play today. So I didn't see that coming. And then we go into high school or college and we find out that we've been backstabbed or betrayed by someone else. And you see the Beverly Hillbillies, we're adding pieces on. We're building layers and layers and layers of wounding on top of those early things, and they usually end up, because we're so young, we don't have a good world perspective. We don't have an adult point of view on things. We don't understand that all humans lie to some degree, and most of them lie dozens of times a day. We don't have that truth as a child. We're given a perplexing, contradictory situation, so we misinterpret it. We end up with this being something wrong with me. See, it's not that people lie. It's that, oh, I'm the kind of person people lie to. I'm the kind of person that can't figure out that they're lying because I don't see how their emotions and faces are tied together. So we build up our worldview based on a misperception or a misinterpretation or just a straight up lack of reality, lack of insight, lack of adult understanding, and we go through experiences. So then we get married, we get betrayed, we launch a business, someone embezzles, the government comes back and asks for stuff that's not right. We go through all sorts of things in business. You have experiences and more and more and more and more layers, so that you notice as it starts here and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. It takes less and less and less to trigger us. Less and less and less. We start running around with this on the outside of us. Get it? We're running around ready to go at any moment, and people then start adding on more and more layers. Well, he's just got a hot temper. Oh, he flies off the handle. Hell no, we got baggage that goes way, way back. So what do you do about it? What do you do? What do you do to get to an adult mindset, or to shift from having the amygdala's fire in a fight or flight because of all these massive number of layers? How do you find out what's at the core? How do you find out what's really bugging you? Well, here's what I do. Here's what I do. Most of the time. Used to be a little bit. And then it was some of the time. And then it was more of the time. Now it's most of the time. It's not all the time, but I've been doing this a long time. Okay? What do you do when you get triggered? Time out. Ooh, cut it. Time. Just walk away. You don't want to add on more stuff in their experience, right? You don't want to have more problems that you're throwing in, causing more and more confusion and chaos. What you want to do is walk away, take the trash out, take a time out, go for a ride, get some diffuse time instead of highly intense focus on the problem. Go let your mind start the process. Okay. The second thing you do is you go, okay, wait a minute. What was it that triggered me first off? What is this outside garbage? Okay, that's just an argument with the boss. That's my wife nagging about whatever. Okay, we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. So just let them see the world the way they see it. It's not your issue. The next thing to do, start asking yourself some questions. Go someplace quiet. If you have to, put earplugs in, meditate, do yoga, whatever you need to do. You want to get into this. You want to be able to go, okay, what's the first layer of memory? What's the first thing I can remember at an earlier age? Oh, people piss me off when they do that. I hate it when they do that. Yeah, okay. Guess what? That's garbage too. Throw that out. That's called an excuse. The next thing you have to do is let something come up that you can remember. Ask yourself, well, okay, what do I remember the earliest time that ever pissed me off? You come up with 2 or 3 of these. Next layer down. You'll go, yeah, well, when I was in high school, when I was in grammar school, when I was a kid, my sister, when I was a little kid, my dad, whatever. You come up with that, okay? You're going to go through 2 or 3 of these. I kid you not. You're going to go through 2 or 3 where you're going to go, look at that. That is solid. Man, I have that. I believe in it. The whole world. That's my whole... Throw it away. No good. Now we're getting close. We're getting close. About 3 or 4 earlier levels, layers, inner peelings. 3 or 4, you might be getting it kind of close. Ask yourself, what's the earliest age that I can remember feeling this feeling or having this experience? Now you're going to start going, okay, wow. I remember some things personally. I remember stuff when I was not even 2 years old. And it'll come back. You won't be able to sleep at night. You'll have sweats. Your pillow will be soaked. You'll be rewiring stuff in your brain. And then you'll have a memory. Then it'll happen where you'll go, something that's been buried almost your entire life, that you go, wait a minute. And you'll realize as an adult how silly that was. Hey, my parents, whoever, they didn't know what they were doing. My mom was 15 years old when she had me. What did she know? That's not about me. That's about her. And what you can do when you finally get down to realizing that the core of your explosive, life-threatening trigger turns out to be a misunderstanding, something that was completely childhood, erroneous junk. I love it. I can laugh about it now because I love having these memories. I love getting back to, whoa. And often it happens for me when I wake up. It'll be one of the first thoughts that I can recall in the morning that's like, wow, that's an early memory. And then I relate it to one of these puzzles that I'm peeling back, and I go, you know what I need? I need an adult interpretation of that childhood baggage. I need to take this stuff out and replace it with something that's far healthier, an adult point of view. We might call it, oh, look at that, it's confirmation bias. Or look at that, that's called arrested development. Or, oh, my parents just had no clue. They were stressed out and they didn't have good parents. They didn't have the internet, whatever the problem. Now you can start putting adult-like understanding around these core wounds in your life. And what comes out of that is a whole different thing. A whole different kind of life. Because now you're equipped with, how do I find it? What do I do with it? Where do I want it to go? And I'll tell you one thing you definitely want. You want it to get the hell out of Scotomaville, that's for sure. Get rid of it. Send it away. So this is what onion peeling is. Asking yourself questions, giving yourself permission to find out what's the memory at the very, very core that is a misunderstanding, a misinterpretation, and that you have wired your entire belief system around. Boy, is that liberating. Boy, is that wonderful to find out that brain plasticity can be your best buddy. All right, put it to work.